one. Please explain SB 27 behavioral health amendments for anyone who would like to.
Well, most of the time I'm on the House side, we get that behavioral health information through Representative Ellison. He does a lot with suicide and suicide prevention, safe UT apps, and mental health sort of things. He also has sponsored the mental health screener that many school districts have adopted, as that kids and families can fill out. That's an opt-in; it's not required. But my guess is that it's more in that arena, and it's really necessary. I think with the issues facing kids and families these days, and so my guess is that Representative Ellison is doing some good work again.
He is doing good work. The next question we have.
If I'll just add one thing, Natalie.
Yes.
It is still in the Senate. It's only been heard by the Senate committee, so the House we've not seen talked about it yet, and even our good senators really haven't had a chance to have it be brought up yet. So it'll be that might be a good one for next week.
That might be. Okay, I will mark that. For anyone on that would like to do this one, how can you help make Envision Utah plan a reality sooner? Is that something that's on anyone's agenda? Okay. How will the government address the cycle of homelessness? And how can we share a positive example of how any government fixes this? This one's probably aimed more at the Senate majority.
I'll take a shot at that.
Okay.
I don't think homelessness has any specific one bullet fixes it. If it would have, we'd have done it.
I think so too.
You've got a certain amount of the population of homeless who are mentally challenged. You've got a certain segment that are just in between jobs that end up there. You've got a certain segment of the population who actually chooses that. And I think to try to attack any of those pieces, first thing you could do is try to get more supply of homes and housing in the market by reducing regulations around building and how you build, if that's possible. And once the price starts coming down, I think you start helping some of that. But if this were an easy thing, we would have fixed it years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think, Natalie, related to that, the senator has really hit on a key point. And that is that when you talk to people that spend a lot of time working with homelessness, they'll say that one of the first things they need is a place to live.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right now, it's very difficult for people who are earning a decent wage who are working to even find a place to live. And so that housing market crunch, like the senator just said, that is a huge deal. So us moving forward with that, it's going to require some innovative things. Representative Stephen White has that as one of his projects that he's been tasked to work on with House leadership. So we might hear some more from him before the session ends. So maybe we could look forward to maybe a little more answer on that later.
And I would add also that Representative Clancy, along with Senator Colmore, have a bill. It's gone through the House, and it's just making its way to the Senate now, called Homelessness Services Amendments. And what it does is it reduces the size of I can't remember how big of a homeless committee we've had, but it's been 15 or 18. It was quite large. It's been reduced to like 9. They went in and changed what is the board supposed to do, and it's really about helping this board be more accountable for the millions and millions and millions of dollars that the state and others who are putting in are spending, so we can figure out, because like Senator Sandel says, I don't think we know yet the solution.
Very good. Very good. I have multiple questions concerning SB 57 and its impacts that that's going to have long-term on Utah and the ability for it to have teeth. Would anyone like to address that one?
Yeah, I guess I better, because that's my bill file. So we got that passed, the governor signed it, it's in place, it's a process bill. How far and wide we use this, I think we're gonna be quite judicious with it. Let me give you a couple of examples. We've talked around and toyed around with the idea of some EPA requirements around ozone and whether they're actually realistic in our state. And if this could be a mechanism to just basically say to the federal government, we're not going to be complicit with this, but we'd surely welcome a dialogue that was state specific in how we can reduce our ozone. Just was made aware this morning that OSHA is coming down with a regulation that is going to require certain testing and physical fitness requirements around our search and rescue people. That may fit somewhere on the East Coast, but I don't think it fits in our search and rescue out here when a lot of our people are either riding a four-wheeler or side by side and they're trying to put eyes on the ground. Those are the kind of things that I think we can look at running a resolution and just basically saying the state of Utah just really, it's going to be really harmful for us. And we won't be compliant in this person or this particular thing. No, I don't think it was a message bill at all. But I've been accused of running for election and I'm not up for election. I ran this bill just because I think it's a good idea. I think it's a tool in the toolbox, and we'll see how far we go in implementing it. We're going to be very judicious about how we use it and make sure we make the right decisions.
A follow-up to this, there's a great deal of concern around the things happening in Texas and the laws that have been put on, excuse me, and the laws put on for gardening and food and farming. Is there a reaction that we want to give to that?
I guess I'm having a hard time either hearing you or making the connection between laws on food and Texas.
Yeah, the specific question says that Texas is being limited in their ability to produce their own food. As a result, will Utah also have those kind of limitations, specifically in home gardens?
I'm not familiar with what Texas is doing, quite honestly. If anybody else knows, they could take that.
I'm not, but I can't imagine that our state legislature would stand for anything that's going to prevent families from having a home garden.
I can't ever imagine. I mean, that would be definitely something that would raise our ire.
Yeah.
If I type it, I've received a few emails about Winterton's bill. And I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I haven't seen Winterton's bill yet, but I know Senator Winterton had something about that coming out, but I haven't seen it yet. So, but yeah, that would never fly in Utah.
I heard that bill in committee, Senator Wilson.
Is that the same thing?
Yeah, no, this deals with the ability for people to continue to produce food in and around, especially a pandemic or some other catastrophic event, limiting the government's ability to come in and stop or set price limits, stop production. There is still a component in there for food safety, but it really is a kind of a protection, pro-food bill, pro growing your own food bill. That's what Winterton's bill does.
Let's move on to water management. In HB 307 regarding water management in public-private partnerships, what is your position?
Wish Casey was here. Is Casey running that bill? Anybody know?
What number is it?
307.
307 is fire alarm data amendments.
Oh, so is that Senate bill or House bill?
Fire,
House bill.
It'd have to be a House bill. We don't have Senate bills that high.
yeah, House Bill 307 is firearm data amendments.
That's definitely not water management.
No,
I'm sorry. I should have reviewed that question. Hey, while we have Representative Thomas Peterson on, I had a question specifically for you. Could you describe HB 64?
Yeah, so HB 64 is dealing with, the primary goal of HB 64 is to address a concern we have with multifamily housing and the access to meter bases for multifamily housing from manufacturers. Right now, we have a shortage that we're seeing of equipment that complies with the new code. So we had to run a bill to modify our building code to allow for the old meter bases, electric meter bases, to be installed on multifamily housing. We have housing sitting completed that they can't get equipment for that complies with the new code. So we ran this emergency bill to try to get that resolved. I was hoping to have that bill passed the first week of the session so that we could get these homes occupied. We got it through the House really quickly, but the Senate has stalled it for the last 2 weeks. So I'm hoping we can see some movement on that. It's set to go into effect the minute it's signed by the governor. So hopefully we can get some of these houses that are sitting completed, but not not able to have power turned on to them because they don't comply with code. There are some other cleanup aspects I ran for, like the Bridgerland Applied Technology College. They have a part of their school they want to use for high school kids to be able to come and learn the technical trades. But right now that puts them into a different occupancy classification. So we made some modifications to the code to allow a technical college to educate high school kids without being called an e-occupancy, which has problems that are specific to typically younger kids. So it does a few things, but that's primarily what it does.
Wonderful. This is for Senator Wilson. It says, while I am grateful you are working to reduce home tax, which I assume is SB 69, is the reduction of the 0.1% the best we can do? What needs to be done for us to cut a couple percentages off or eliminate income tax completely?
Well, thank you. That's a great question. Yeah, SB 69. When I first brought that out in May, it was a bigger state income tax cut. But then I amended or changed it to meet what we had set aside. We had set aside $160 million. So that transpired into a 10 basis point income tax cut. I would love to have more. We'll have our final budget numbers probably in the next week or so. I expect probably it's 10 basis points to stay. I wish it was more. I think a lot of us do, but you do have budget restraints. As far as, cutting more, the last 4 years, we've cut almost 0.5%. I think we're trying to be level-headed and be smart about these income tax cuts. As President Adams of the Senate says, we're going to measure twice and cut once. And I think that's what we're trying to be responsible on these tax cuts, knowing that we are trying to be competitive with other states around us and what their state income taxes are. As far as continue to lower them, I'd be all for it. We just have to grow our revenues to do that, or find other revenue sources. I've always believed, as I think a lot of people do, it's better if you can tax consumption rather than productivity. Income taxes is a tax on productivity. And obviously we're trying to continue to grow our economy, which will continue grow revenues, and then we'll take a look at it. So like I said, I was hoping for a bigger tax cut. We'll see what happens, but we do have to be responsible and make sure we cover all our responsibility. Especially, there are a lot of areas we need to fund that the Constitution each year demands that we have to do. So there's so many moving parts on the budget, and that goes into this this process. So basically, like I said, my first bill was for a bigger tax cut. We had to scale it back. We'll see what happens next week or two. I talked to my floor sponsor in the House, and we expect that to get the numbers next week or two, and then we can leave it. Right now, it's passed the Senate. It's in House rules being held until we can finally see those final numbers. So
You would
we'll
also be able to
stay
answer
tuned.
this one.
I'm sorry.
Would this, you were talking about options for affordable housing earlier. Does increasing options for affordable housing mean government financed managed houses? Or is this a goal? Is this the same goal that's in harmony with government or with Governor Cox's recent proposals?
Is that question for me?
Well, it's a Senate question, that's for sure.
Huh.
Increasing options for affordable housing is a bill that they're asking specifically. Are you familiar with that one? Is that the same as what Governor Cox is proposing?
Well, I'll take this. Last year,
Okay.
we set aside $50 million to try to help people in a range, and this sounds really high because I think it is really high, but to help first-time home buyers secure financing on houses $435,000 or less, I think. And that was an effort to try to help some home buyers get into some homes. That's maybe the furthest I think that we're probably willing to go as far as helping with government aid. I think the best thing, and mostly what we're trying to do, is make sure that we reduce or make sure that political subdivisions, cities and towns can't prohibit certain types of buildings, and that we can do stuff to keep make building easier, happen faster with the permitting processes.
That is
One thing if I could add, and just add that is most of the affordable homes that we've been talking about as far as bills or trying to promote is all going to be single family dwellings that are detached. So I think that's kind of been the goal of both the Senate and the House majority.
okay. So single family detached homes.
Yeah, I mean, rather than a higher volume of homes and multifamily homes.
Okay. This question is for everyone. Utah is now providing health insurance to all residents, regardless of their citizenship status. What is your reaction to that?
What can you repeat the question again? Because I
I'm sorry.
don't believe that.
Yeah.
Understand that.
It says Utah is now providing health insurance to all residents, regardless of their citizenship status. What is your reaction?
Well, I don't believe that's the case.
I don't think that's true at all, actually.
No.
So, I mean, all the residents of Utah don't get their health insurance paid for by the government.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've been wasting a lot of money on health insurance lately then, so.
yeah, I buy my own, and
You know,
have options.
my guess, they may be talking about the health insurance benefits for children, maybe of undocumented workers. I don't know exactly what.
Yeah,
what that
I guess
is.
I wouldn't even venture an answer because I don't understand the question.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Okay.
Let's move on. The next question is, do you anticipate bills in 2024 that will enable ESG efforts by the government to limit citizens' freedom?
Can I take that one?
Yeah. Give it a go. Give it a go, Senator.
Well, how surprising.
I would like to label last session as ESG session, and I had help from Senator Sandel, but I was fortunate enough to pass 3 different ESG bills. There were Senate bills, there were 2 House bills on ESG. We did a remarkable job of pushing back against ESG from the federal government. There were a number of states that passed ESG laws. I would like to say at the time we passed our ESG laws, a year ago at least, I was labeled as two of my ESG bills. Supposedly, if you agree with ESG, my bills were the worst in the country, is what a lobbyist from Washington, D.C. said. So I took that we're headed in the right direction. And yeah, I don't know if what we're kind of doing is, as far as I'm concerned, is we're kind of holding off this year in ESG. I think we drew a line in the sand with 5 great ESG bills, and we pushed back. It's working. ESG, as many of you know, is less than what it was. The states pushed back, and BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard, the 3 that were worst players in this market as far as financial institutions, have all backed off. We're wait to monitor and make sure that they don't come up somewhere else with another crazy plan. But I feel very, very comfortable, feel very, very appreciative of everybody on this, all the legislators here up north. We all work together and push back on ESG. And so right now, I think we're in a good spot. But boy, we're ready with more legislation. And I think we kind of took the year off on ESG. We're kind of looking at some other things, but we're always keeping our eye on it. And I appreciate Treasurer Marlo Oaks was great, worked with me very closely on all my bills. And I think they were great. Boy, there was a lot of pushback, I'll tell you. It was a fight to the bitter end, but we all got it done, and appreciate everybody on this. All the legislators up in Northern Utah were a big help.
Well, I think Senator, we've sort of led the way nationally on many of these things. And in fact, even in our own state, there were folks who thought we were overreacting, but we were not overreacting. And Senator Wilson did a great job really leading the charge on this. And as a state, we got to be grateful, because he led for some good things last year.
Yeah, that's really true.
I think I can say I always stand impressed at how much you men accomplish in these short times that we have. Thank you so much for all your help tonight, and for meeting with me and answering questions. I appreciate the time spent with you guys. And good luck in the future, in your coming days. I hope things go smoothly for you.
We appreciate you, Natalie.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you very
Natalie.
much for
Thanks,
being here.
All right,
everyone.
guys.
We're all going to smile for next week. So
That's right. We keep our chin up. Thank you again. Have a good
thank
night.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.